Okay, hey everybody, welcome to today's video where I am going to show you how this workflow works. The previous version of this video, the audio was a little wonky, so I'm trying something a little bit different. Please let me know if it's still not working for you, or if you think it can be improved. But we're just going to try the best we can to make this a good video. So what you see before you here is a workflow on a program called N8N. And it is basically designed to gather a bunch of information from a bunch of different markets to do market research for your book. And I will include a link to a version of this workflow that you can basically just drag and drop into your own N8N account. You will have to hook up your own Google account. You'll have to have your own Apify account in order to get it to work, but it should be fairly straightforward. And you may have to tweak it a little bit. I've had to do some tweaks even just before this run to make sure that it was working correctly. And that's, but I will include the link in the description. And so we're just going to get started, okay? So I will show you what this workflow creates first, so you can see. So this is a list of best-selling books in different genres. This is a list of grab bag categories, and we'll get to that in a second. This is a list of romance subcategories. So you can see that we have different columns here. This is on Google Sheets. And by the way, the link to the Google Drive folder will have a blank copy of this template, and you can just basically copy that template into your own account and use it. It'll have these same headers on it. But yes, this gives you the title, the author, the URL for the book, the ASIN, which is basically like the ISBN internal for Amazon, the ABSR. ABSR stands for Amazon Bestseller Rank. So, for example, if the lower the better. Okay, this book down here has an ABSR of 8, which means it is the 8th best-selling book on the Kindle store. That is pretty darn good. Honestly, anything below about 20,000 is very good. It means you're selling at least probably 5 copies of your book a day, or the equivalent in Kindle Unlimited borrows. Romance tends to sell pretty well, although you will get some, like here's one that is almost 100,000. That means this book here is probably selling under a copy a day, or the equivalent in borrows. We're not exactly sure how they calculate it, but that's generally the case. We've got these subcategories. So for example, this one is action adventure, science fiction, romance, gothic romance, and every book is going to have generally 3 subcategories. There's also the breadcrumbs, which basically that's how the book is categorized. So I'm going to click on this one, and if you look up here, it says Kindle store, Kindle ebooks, romance, action, and adventure. So it's breadcrumbs is basically like the path from the highest, the broadest category to the most specific category. So some of these are not going to be for the Kindle store. Some of them are going to be for books in general. It depends on how Apify scrapes it. It can be a little different, but this is generally how it goes. Okay, so we've got, and then of course for the categories, we've got the category name, the rank of the book within that category, because in addition to having the general Kindle bestseller list, there are also the subcategories and subcategories and subcategories and so on. And they all have a bestseller list as well. So for example, this book here, it has an ABSR of 1227, but in the action and adventure romance, it is 26th best-selling book in that genre. And that tells you at a glance that action and adventure romance is a very it's a very hot genre. It's selling a lot. That also means it's pretty competitive. So it's not an unalloyed good, but this just tells you these things. Same with like mafia romance. This is the 45th best-selling book in the mafia romance genre. That means these books are selling better than hotcakes, because when is the last time you guys bought a hotcake? Anyway, we've got the dates. That is the date that the crawl was done, and it just gives you the time that it was done. And then we go to over here, we've got the blurb, which is basically, it used to be called a book description. Blurb used to be when someone would give a promotional quote to promote a book, and it would be put on the book cover like, an amazing fast-paced adventure, says so-and-so with the New York Times. And that was a blurb. But now language has evolved, and blurb now refers generally to the book description as well. And so sometimes you get, this doesn't always crawl it perfectly. So for example, this book, it just says that the blurb is the word Conan. I don't think that is correct, but generally it does a pretty good job. Sometimes these are pretty short. Sometimes these are pretty long. It depends. Sometimes Apify, again, it's not perfect. Sometimes it'll have the full book description. Sometimes it'll just have a short summary. It's gotten a bit better as time has gone on. You can see these ones are very long. And now here we've got this. We've got the book descriptions. We've got the review summary, which is an AI created summary of all the reviews. And then we've got, I think the top, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we've got the top 10 reviews copied and pasted, and they're separated by these double slashes. Now, obviously, as you can see with this one, it didn't work. The reviews don't always populate, and that is why you have to constantly keep updating it and checking to make sure it's working, because there was an issue a little earlier where I was trying to update this, and it was not adding a bunch of information about the subcategory, so I had to go in and fix it. So that's something that you'll have to do if you use this workflow. Okay, so here is how it works. You can see it's running right now, but I'll just show you how these parts work. So you can schedule a trigger, and I have it triggered every 2 weeks on a Tuesday at 10:20 a.m. because generally a lot of books are released on Tuesdays. There are a number of reasons for that, but that's how it is. And 10:20 a.m. I figure this is I'm on Pacific time, so this is 1:20 p.m. on the American East Coast, and that means that it's had enough time all across the United States for the new books to kind of come out and to be added to the bestseller lists. And so you can schedule it whenever you want. You could schedule it more often, less often. It's up to you. I just like to have it twice a month. I think at a certain point, more data just becomes overkill, but do whatever you like. Okay, then we have a coding thing, which is where we have 4 different genres here. We've got romance, MTS, which stands for mystery, thriller, suspense, fantasy, which stands for fantasy, and young adult, SFF. SFF means science fiction and fantasy. And so this just gives us these 4 genres, and it feeds those 4 genres into Apify, which takes this input, and you get max items per start URL. I have this set at 1, so it just gets the best-selling book from each of these categories. You can set this to be 10 if you prefer, or 20. I've done 20 before, but for now, for this run, I just wanted to show you how it works. So I just got the top best-selling book from each one. Then this goes to a switch, and this switch can be a little bit, it's not a perfect way of sorting. There have been other ways that I've used for sorting it, but basically the way it works is, okay, and there we see workflow executed successfully while I was talking. So that took maybe 20, 30 minutes, not very long. But back to it, is the rules are if the word teen appears in the breadcrumbs or in any of the subcategories, then we send it to the young adult spreadsheet. So let me see if I can find that. Yeah. So this one here. So if we go down here, we can see that this one was just added today on July 16th. And we've got the, okay, so this one, as you can see, this one just has Revere the Volunteer. That just happens sometimes. But we've got this, and then we've got some feedback as well. So we have, this is working, and it's sorting it. Now, it doesn't sort it perfectly. You're not going to get, for example, if you get all 10 from each category, you're going to get something like this one might have 9, this one might have 12, this one might have 8. They don't perfectly sort into the categories, but they won't. The good news is that they will be related. And there's a lot of books, if you think about it, that kind of fit in more than one category. Like there are fantasy books that are also romance books, and this switch has to put them in one of these categories, so it's probably going to put them in fantasy. If you wanted to add both, if you wanted to add that book to both categories, there are ways to do that, but it's a little more complicated. For me personally, this is sufficient. And you can see with this one, the mystery book did not go there. It went into romance, which is not surprising because a lot of romance books, or there's a lot of crossover between mystery, thriller, suspense, and romance. And you can see that the filters that I have are a bit coarse. Like this one is teen. For mystery, thriller, suspense, I have suspense as the keyword, but I have to go back and check and see, because sometimes they update how they write the categories. So this one might not be this might not be the best word. I might have to change it to be mystery, or thriller. And then TASY for fantasy, because there are also romantasy books. Now, if I wanted those romantasy books to go into romance, I might change this to fantasy. I'm not going to do that right now, but that is an option. And then if this contains romance, the output name is Roman. Wonderful. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I just have to update one thing. Okay. And so I'm just going to change this back to romance. Now, when you change something in between a run, it'll you see this yellow triangle that will appear. And I think I'm going to change this to Roman, so it also includes romantasy. Now, having changed it, again, these are kind of coarse filters, and that might make it include like Roman history books. I don't think it's super likely, and if it does, the number of books that will be improperly sorted is relatively small. For this one, I think I'm going to change it to, say, fantasy, just to see, because I might want romantasy to sort more into romance than fantasy. It's we're just going to try it out and see what the result is. Okay, so that is the first wing of this, and you can see, because we've edited this now has this yellow border and the yellow triangle. That doesn't mean anything's wrong, it just means that it's changed. Okay, so once we've got the top 10, or in this case the top 1, and we put them in here, we go to get subcategory URLs. What this will do is, this is JavaScript, and it will take all of the information from here, which includes a bunch of subcategories, and it will create this output array with genre, parent category name, category URL, and the rank of the book and the ASIN. And so we can see from these top 4 books, we got 10 subcategories. And we can even go to get subcategory URLs, and we can see them here. We've got bisexual romance, gay romance, Women sleuths. So this is a good example. Women sleuths. This is why this did not, maybe why this didn't appear in mystery, thriller, suspense, because it doesn't include the word mystery or thriller or suspense. This one includes mystery. So maybe we want to go back and edit how this switch works. That's certainly fine. But here we've got a whole bunch of different subcategories. Some of them are subcategories for the bookstore. Some of them are subcategories for the Kindle store. Those are a little bit different. Kindle is just ebooks. Books, as far as I can tell, is everything. It is physical books. It is ebooks. It is audiobooks on Audible. It's things like tarot cards and book-like things that are not exactly books. But here we go. So we've got these 10 subcategories. Now we're going to have, this is basically the same thing as this Apify app. It is going to crawl those subcategories. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, we had the 10 subcategories, and this, you know what? I'm getting a little confused. Okay, so we started with get top 10. We went to get subcategory URLs. We got 10. Then this is going to crawl those 10 subcategories, and this one gets the top 5. And now you can change this to be the top 10 or the top 1 or the top 20 if you wish. I just want to do the top 5. Now we've got this if node that I've deactivated. I'll open it so you can see what it is. This is where you can say if the bestseller rank, the ABSR, is less than or equal to a certain number, then it won't be sorted. Now, if you do this, you may want to create a tab in your spreadsheet that includes like books that aren't selling well, because every time you use Apify to crawl bestseller list, it costs money. And so if you're constantly crawling genres that are not really selling well past the first time, it's not really that useful information, and you want to edit this to sort it out. And to edit that, you don't need to be a tech genius. You can copy and paste this this text and say, okay, I want you to eliminate this or that subgenre. So for example, when we went to romance subcategories, there were some here that were not selling well, hardly at all. Let's scroll back, see if we can find one where the ABSR was like 100,000. Okay, here's an example. Okay, these books here, looks like these are mostly indigenous romance, and they are not really selling at all. This one has 55,000. Now, one thing that this doesn't have the publication date of the books. So sometimes that can be helpful, because 55,000 or 34,000, that's not actually that bad, especially if the book is like 5 or 10 years old. I've seen books with this ABSR that are like, you know, almost 15 years old sometimes, which is like, that's not bad. That's all right. But seeing these numbers tells me, okay, at least at this point, indigenous romance not really selling that much. I mean, that and I think there's a couple of other subgenres that don't really sell that much. And this is, you know, not commenting on it. It's just it is what it is. So I'm probably going to filter those out in future ones unless it changes. Now you can see that's not true for all of these. This one down here is also indigenous romance. This has an ABSR of 3,000. So you might want to look at this one and see what's going on. Why is this one selling? Midnight Bargain, the Midnight Club Billionaires book. So this one is, just looking at this right now, I mean, it seems like, okay, so this guy is Maori. So, but his identity as being a Maori guy is like, it's part of the story, but it doesn't seem to be the focus of the story. I don't know if that's what makes the difference. Again, this is just me looking at the data and trying to make sense of it. It's still, it's got, now it's down to 74,000, so it's gone down quite a bit since we last crawled it. So that's another thing you can look at with this bestseller list, is you can see how books rise and fall in the ABSR charts. Yeah, but you will you'll see plenty of things where um, you can figure out, and of course you can also go to the category and see what's going on now. Now, one thing, guys, you see down here, this is loading the rank. This is an extension that I have on Chrome, and it's called DS Quick View. And it's a great extension. It's totally free, and it will just allow you, when you search for something or where you go to the bestseller list, it'll just show you the rank on the Amazon store right there. So that's really useful. And you can see this is, unfortunately, is still not really, not only is it not really selling, but I don't really see a strong identity where you sometimes, when you pull up a subgenre, like let's pull up dark romance for a second, you can see all of the covers are kind of telling you more or less the same story. Not exactly the same, but these all have kind of similar look to them. They've got a similar promise. They all kind of, all right, it's a guy in kind of dark, with against a dark background with kind of high contrast lighting, usually with his shirt off. Kind of what you're going to expect from this. Now, it's not all 100%, but you can get, like, you can judge a book by its cover. Like, the covers are designed to be judged because they want people who will be interested in the book to buy it. But this one, you can see it's kind of all over the place. This looks like maybe a Regency romance. This looks kind of like an urban romance between a Black woman and a Native man. This is, I don't know, maybe historical Eastern Frontier romance. There we go. This one also Eastern Frontier. It's kind of all over the place, and that's not necessarily, that doesn't, again, guys, there have been plenty of books that have had, like, romances with characters who are native. There are things like the Zoe Redbird series and Twilight. And then it wasn't a romance, but there was a book called, I think, The Firekeeper's Daughter, that got on Reese Witherspoon's book club. So don't get it twisted. I'm not making some kind of value judgment. Or if I am making a value judgment, it's just looking at this and I'm like, I don't see a strong identity. So if I want to make a book that's going to do well, that has these characters, I'm maybe going to have to focus the marketing, at least, on something else, on maybe this is a story, maybe this is like a new adult and college romance, and the female main character is the first person to go to college in her family, or maybe she's not and she feels guilty because she's had all these opportunities that her parents didn't have. I don't know, but you might want to focus a little bit more on something else. See, this is another example, new adult in college. You can see instantly this has a pretty defined identity, and you can tell you've got similar color schemes. You've got kind of these, honestly, I don't really care for these kind of Canva covers. That's just me. But remember, guys, what is the number one rule of market research? It is not everyone shares your tastes. So, okay, that long aside, you can, this is why this is useful, because you can spot patterns at a glance, and you can start using this information to start making decisions about what kind of book you want to write, how you want to write it, and then how you want to market it. So, you can write whatever you want if you are essentially writing for money, which a lot of people have done. Even people like Anthony Burgess, he wrote A Clockwork Orange because his wife was dying of cancer, and he wanted to make a book so that she would have, or excuse me, I got it wrong. He was dying of cancer, and so he wanted to make a book to leave behind so that she would have some money, so she wouldn't be completely destitute. So there's nothing wrong with writing for money, but I guys, don't be like a complete slave to this. Like if you find something that's not selling quite as well, but you're a lot more interested in it, just go with that one, because you can, if you're interested in it, if you're not interested in it, you're not going to be able to finish it. A book is a lot of work. And just because it's not the best selling genre doesn't mean you can't make, money and pay bills with it. I mean, look at this. This is police romance. This is not the best selling subgenre of romance. It's got, it's respectable, but it's definitely not the best selling ever. And you can see this one also doesn't totally have an identity. You've got some stuff that looks very very risque. You've got some stuff that looks more like women's fiction. You've got Tony Hillerman. That's really interesting. Tony Hillerman, you guys, that guy's an interesting author if you want to check him out. But there you have a lot of options. So don't just be a slave to the data. Make the data work for you, basically. Okay, back at it. All right, so we have the get subcategories that will get all of that data. So we started with 10 items. We got the top 5, so we got 50. And they sorted, as you can see, they didn't sort like perfectly 10, 10, 10, 10. We got young adult. We got mystery, thriller, suspense. We got fantasy. Another reason for that is sometimes when it gets subcategories, it doesn't get the same amount of subcategories from all the books. Some will have more than others. So this isn't a cause for alarm. And then it does the same thing one more time. Any more than this, I think you're going to get repeats and diminishing returns. You do get some repeats between these two. So if you want to reduce those, there are ways to do that. Now this is interesting. I think this ran, I might not have deactivated it until too late or something, because it looks like this had 40 items. Now, I think in the future, I want to create a sheet where I just have the ones that didn't make the grade, because then you can see, okay, what's not selling. And you don't have to go through this very long amount of data, or you have to run various programs to find all these things that are above a certain threshold. You can just put all of it in one sheet. But that'll be for another day. And that's pretty easy to do. You just copy one of these, you create another sheet from the template, and this is the template. And why don't I just do that now so you can see how easy it is. So I'm going to do a duplicate copy of T. I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to say we will call it non-sellers. That's it's not quite true, because some of them are selling okay, they're just not selling the best. And then we're going to take this, or we can take it and we can put Apple D or Command D. I think it's Control D. And then we'll just put it down here and we'll call it non-sellers. And we've got the document ID. Let's see if it's added. Okay, so that's all we have to do and it's already going to map all these columns. And then we can activate this. We're just going to copy this again. And you don't need to do this generally with the top 10, because if they're in the top 10 for a big genre like mystery, thriller, suspense, they are not going to be low selling. And then let's reactivate this. Okay, so that is that's basically how it works. You just do the same process 3 times and you crawl more subcategories and you end up with a lot of information. Why is this one? And then this one is romance. So if you crawl romance, most of your subcategories are going to be romance. It's a really well-selling genre. Now, again, you don't have to write romance if it's not interesting to you. If you try it and you keep failing, it's okay to say, you know what, I think I'm going to try something else. But this is how you get a lot of data in about, does it say how long it took the whole thing? Yes, it took 25 minutes and 51 seconds, I think, to success in 25 minutes. So we got all of this data that is very useful, and then we can take it, and these are the ones that don't sort into anything because they sometimes it just doesn't work. And you can use various ways to put these in the other ones, in the proper categories. And you can see how some of these don't really fit any of these, like Christian poetry. That doesn't really fit. We have mystery, thriller, suspense, science fiction, fantasy, romance. That's none of the above. Fairy tales, folklore, mythology kind of fits into fantasy, kind of doesn't. Erotica, that is kind of fantasy, kind of romance, but not really. But this can also tell you when something's going wrong with your program and what you have to do. So this is basically how it works. Again, there is a download link in the description, and that will include a blank copy of this workflow. I'm actually going to include the copy of the updated version, as well as a Google Sheets template that you can use and update as you see fit. That's about it. So I hope to I'll talk to you guys later, and yeah, have a great day.